Hey there folks, let's talk about how to write that winning thesis statement your instructor keeps carrying on about. The key to writing a good thesis statement is to first realize that anybody can write a great thesis statement if they just know the rules and practice the skills. You'll also need to know what your paper is about and why its topic is important, at least important enough to write a paper about. Now keep in mind that if you find thesis statements really challenging, the RDC Library Writing Skills Center can help you figure out where you're going wrong and how to build your confidence and skills in writing A+ thesis statements every single time. But for now, here's a quick and feisty tutorial for you. This is a handout that's available on Blackboard in the Writing Skills section of this course, and is also available from the RDC Writing Skills Center website. There's a lot in this document that we won't cover here, so feel free to go find it if you'd like to work with the exercises or take a closer look at the examples. First, it shows here that your thesis statement is made up of two major parts, the topic and the position. But I'd add a third subpart to this for this level of class. I call it the influencer, but we'll get to that in just a minute. First, your thesis statement is only 1 or 2 sentences, and it should encompass the big ideas of your paper or project. It really shouldn't get bogged down in the nitty-gritty details, just your basic bird's eye view of things. Also, it should name the topic of your paper or project, and it should give the position it will take on that topic. In other words, and finally, it should share the influencer, or that one part a sophisticated thesis statement has that will tell people why they should care about your topic. Your topic should be just one thing, so make sure you narrow your research down to just one thing. You'd probably never want to write a paper about owning a pet and getting an oil change, unless there's a really great story behind that topic. But you probably would want to write a paper about owning a pet. However, just writing a paper or making a project about owning a pet might be either hugely long, as you have to cover every aspect about pet ownership, or it would be super short because you've just cut out a bunch of things because you have no guide for what this is about. So, that's where the position comes into play. The position limits things just a tiny bit by revealing how you're going to approach this giant topic. Here, it's by exploring the many benefits of pet ownership. But that's actually a pretty large paper still, so it's okay to narrow it down even more to maybe say exploring the physical benefits of pet ownership, or perhaps the mental health benefits of pet ownership. That's probably a little bit more manageable. And then finally, there's the part that I call the influencer that isn't shown here. These are pretty simple thesis statements. The influencer is a little portion of the sentence that makes the reader or listener feel like what you're communicating is important and relevant in some way. Every great informative piece of writing or speaker that you've heard has used a sentence that contains these 3 things, but you might not have even noticed. Take a look at the table here that gives the topic and position breakdown and a simple thesis statement for each example here. Now, here are some things to watch out for. You would never, in an art history paper or project, want to tell or announce to your reader or listener what you or the project or the paper is going to do. Never say, this paper or project will show blah de blah blah blah. Don't tell people what you're going to do. Be confident. You know your stuff. Just jump in and do it. You also want to make sure your thesis statement covers the right amount of topic. Too broad, and you'll need to haul out a library's worth of writing for this project. Too narrow, and you'll probably be finished in 400 words, and that is not good. And like I mentioned earlier, never have multiple ideas. You might have a couple of different things going on in your thesis statements if you have contrasting or comparing ideas, but you should never have completely unrelated things going on, or anything that drags you and your research into different directions. Okay, so that's the technical side, but what does it look like in your paper? Well, it looks a bit like this. This is a starting paragraph from a paper I wrote during my undergrad. Take a quick look and see how it opens pretty broadly. It's talking about the 1960s as a whole. Then it narrows its scope with each passing sentence. Moving from the 1960s in general, then it moves into certain kinds of groups that were in the 1960s and were active. Then it talks about one specific group, the Fluxus art group. Then to one specific artist from that group. And then finally my thesis statement, which is always the last sentence or 2 of the first paragraph of your writing, talks about the short films about that specific artist. The topic here is Yoko Ono's Match No. 1 and I Blink No. 9 films. The position is that they exemplify Fluxus theory. And the reason anyone should care, or the influencer, is that they present the layered experimentation that Ono is known for in her film work of this time period. That opening paragraph is like a funnel. It opens broad and narrows at the bottom to the one thing the rest of the paper will work towards exploring. And voila! You now know what you need to create a great thesis statement. Good luck, and happy researching!